This year's called these people couldn't get through the gate this morning, and they're coming back right now. We bring them down here. We bring them right here. Hey, I back out to the exotic farms. I'm sending them to Canada to find them. Bring them to the exotic farm. Oh, where are you guys going? Oh, okay.
We won't be able to hold the king at the same time as the sloth.
Alright, so this is a koala mundi. In some South American Indian language, that means nose and belt. Because they consistently sleep with their tail around the outside of their nose, like it's stuck in their belt, in the middle. The koala mundis are arboreal creatures. They like to climb up and live in trees. And they are omnivores. They will eat absolutely anything. If you look at the long sharp claws and the long wiggly nose on this guy, it tells you that he likes to dig for food. So he'll dig into the ground and he'll eat worms and bugs and grubs. He'll eat any small lizard or amphibian that he can get a hold of. He would eat any mammal that he can catch. And he goes up into trees and he wipes out bird nests and squirrel nests up in the tops of the trees. This guy can run up the walls of this building as fast as he can run across the floor. And we discourage him from doing so because Kevin hates it when he gets into those wires up there. But those claws let him run right up the walls as fast as across the floor. He can run down a tree as fast as he can run up a tree because his feet go completely backwards. So he can literally run down as fast as he can run up. And his favorite things to eat in the wild are, well, everything in the wild. In captivity, his favorite things to eat, he likes hard-boiled eggs, grapes, blueberries. He likes superworms. He likes boneless, skinless chicken breast, boiled, not fried. He likes pizza, but he doesn't like Little Caesars. His favorite pizza is Meat Lover's Pizza from Papa John's. And this one is a pet animal. Those two and the next one over there are a breeding pair. And we should have another baby one here pretty soon. And when the babies are 5 weeks old, they ride on my shoulder for a couple of months till they're trained up to be ambassadors for other people. And that is what a baby koala mundi looks like when they're born here on the farm. And small and cute and just a bundle of fun. And hey, can we take him and put him in the new cage in the petting farm?
Georgie?
No. Coda. Do you walk Coda? Never mind. I'll take him out a while.
I'll talk about walking if you want.
That's all right.
How old is this guy?
What?
How old is this guy?
He is at least 18. I know where he's been for the last 12 years, and he was 5 feet long when they got him, and that takes at least 6 years. So that makes him a minimum of 18 years old.
Does he get bigger?
The next one here is Bakagon. And the reason he's named Bakagon is he's named for these toys that, I don't know if anybody remembers the Bakagon toys, but the thing about a Bakagon toy is they close up into a complete ball. And then the game is that they roll the ball and try to have it land on the magnet, and when it lands on the magnet, it pops out like that. And that's why this guy's name is Bakagon. Because he closes up into a complete ball like this. This is the only kind, well, there's two, out of 50 kinds of armadillos, there are 2 that can make a complete ball like that. So that is his head and that is his tail. And you can feel it. This is a carapace, not a shell, because this is a mammal, not a reptile. Mammals don't have shells, reptiles do. So this is a carapace. So if you look, he's got his 1, 2, 3 moving bands. They're held together by bands of skin. The carapace parts here, all these little star patterns are bony plates, and they're all held together by skin, same as the moving bands are. And if you hold them up and look towards the light, You can see the hair sticking through all over him because that is a mammal with a carapace, not a reptile with a shell. But then when he comes out, he just comes out just like the Bakagon toy does. And when you put him on the ground, he runs around like he's a little potato with high heels, or maybe a roly-poly or something. And that guy is that guy, we don't have a mate for him yet. It's tricky to get the female one. They generally have identical quadruplets, and they're almost always male, so it's tricky to get a female one of these. But they tell me that can get as big as a soccer ball and run 30 miles an hour, jump 3 feet straight in the air. But I'm going to have to see that to believe it, because he's a year-old, and he ain't part of the soccer ball size yet. He is an insectivore, meaning he likes to eat bugs. So we get shipped in bugs for him. Here he likes superworms, mealworms, waxworms, hornworms. He eats black soldier fly larvae and housefly pupa. And we sprinkle him out in his dirt box in his room, and then he likes to dig down after it for his natural foraging behavior. And they can sense a bug at least 8 or 10 inches underground and dig down and get it. And so they're pretty amazing animals. Be real careful holding on, that is not a cheap animal.
When you say superworms, what is
These are superworms. Big, huge, fat worms. And this is the pupa stage of superworms. And then they turn dry and hard and black. And they look like they're dead. And then after they turn dry and hard and black, they come out as a beetle.
He's trying to run away.
Yeah, I'm told that would stop at 22 short. Oh, that's a 3-banded armadillo, Brazilian 3-banded armadillo. All right, this next animal has a similar theory of defense as Bakagon.
He's scared me.
That's my beard.
He's pulling his beard.
They'll be done in like 20 minutes.
All right, guys, these ones are hedgehogs.
I'm gonna let him know that he can watch from the video now.
See how sharp those quills stick out.
It's pretty cool when he extends down. If I just the two back, I'm gonna keep this camera up here just in case he doesn't come down again. But a lot of people wonder how they're able to hold on like that for so long. And actually they're able from the moment that they're born to hold all of their body weight, hold it onto just one claw onto a branch. So comparatively, they're about 3 times stronger than people. If we were to be their size, there's claws that have specific locking mechanisms in them that allow them to hang like that for so long. And for them, clamped down like that is actually their relaxed state. So for us, this is our relaxed state. I'm not using any muscle or energy to do this, but clamped down is more stressful. Whereas for them to actually loosen up, let go of that branch, extend that claw and reach for the next one, that's when that's more strenuous for them. That's when they're using muscles and energy to do that. So it's kind of backwards for us. And if a sloth were to actually pass away, holding onto the branch of a tree, that sloth would continue hanging there until something either rotted or knocked them off of that branch. So it's similar to us, if we were to be sedated or when we pass, we don't all of a sudden tense up. We stay in our relaxed state, whereas for them, this is relaxed, so they're not all of a sudden just gonna let go. And it was pretty interesting to see that kind of firsthand a few weeks ago. Flash had his annual exam. The vet came and we needed to do some blood work and things like that, and we did have to sedate him for that. And after those sedatives kicked in, he was completely asleep. I mean, you could touch all over his face, on his eyes, on his nose and things, completely out of it, but he was still locked onto that branch. And we worked on him hanging there for like 5 minutes or so, and us just moving his body around and everything slowly started to unhook those claws. And so we were going to finish him just working on him on the counter. We actually had to pry those claws up off of the branch to get him off of that. And then he continued, his legs were all straight and locked just like that when we got him down off of the branch. It was pretty interesting to see that, because you think that we were all kind of standing there on edge, even though we know in the back of our heads that that locking mechanism is going to continue to have them hang there. It was still like we were on edge, just in case, just in case they're lying to us and they actually will fall. It was pretty interesting to watch. That's his itching spot. He always, anytime he ever has an itch, he has to go to that side of the branch to scratch it. I don't think he's ever scratched an itch all the way over here. He may be done with that food now. You can just set it on the...
No.
He said, but actually...
He's gotten a lot wider, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like every week he gets a lot wider. So when they first are born, they're a real dark chocolatey color like that because they blend into the mother a lot more easily. Whereas if they were born and they were a white or a cream color, they kind of stand out on mom. After a while, they'll start to form moss and algae all down their backs that they use for camouflage. But when they're first born, obviously they don't have that. And so when they're a darker color, it's easier for them to blend into the mom when they're dark. When they get a little bit older, they'll get about like what Flash is, where it's mostly cream colored. But you see the sloths that we have here don't have moss or algae on them because they've been born and raised in captivity. If they were a wild sloth that had been taken from the rainforest, you'd still see a lot of staining of the green from the algae on them. So our goal with having the sloth encounters here with these guys is that we would rather have people come and spend time with the sloths that have been bred in captivity for this type of interaction, rather than going down where they're native to and supporting, doing a sloth encounter down there with sloths that have been taken from the rainforest. Those, is a lot more unethical to, have a practice like that, just because they have a lot of moss and algae, have an entire ecosystem that lives on their backs that they rely on to be able to actually digest their food, believe it or not. So they have a lot of moths that live throughout their fur, and they'll actually lick up a portion of those moths that they use for protein, and then they'll actually lick up a portion of the moth's waste, and it's the waste of the moths where the sloth gets the bacteria in order to digest its food, and those moths need the sloth to have that moss and algae on their back so they can eat that. And if they didn't have that moss or algae, then those moths would not be able to live. Therefore, the sloths would not be able to digest their food. So it's a whole chain of events that has to be just right. And if it's messed up just a little bit by somebody going out there and holding them, or disrupting that ecosystem, it can really have a lot of negative effects on that sloth. And a lot of people just aren't educated. I'm sure you didn't know all of that, or that they have practices like that down there where they're native to. And that's, it's nobody's fault that, you're not born with knowledge about sloths. And so our goal here is to be able to just educate the public enough to know what kind of practices are going on down there. Yeah. So that if they do, book a cruise to go like to Guatemala or something, or Costa Rica, they go down there and don't get off of the cruise ship and see a sloth and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to hold a sloth, because they know the practices that have gone on with that. The Conservancy Agency down there right now has been doing a really good job of enforcing some laws and regulations against holding the wild sloths. Unfortunately, they have shut down some of the places that have done it the right way, some sanctuaries that have been trying to rehabilitate injured sloths and return them back to the rainforest. Those facilities have been shut down as well, just because if you have to, put some laws or regulations out, you gotta put them out for everybody. But for the most part, it has had a vastly more positive, interaction, yes, he takes some fat naps on people, I can tell you that. You can see how pinpoint tiny those pupils are. They do have a really bad field of vision. It's basically like if you were to cup your hands like this and look through it, that's kind of all they see. They don't really have any peripheral vision. And they also have a condition that's called rod monochromacy. It means that they only have rod cells in their eyes and no cone cells. So we have cone cells in the back of our eyes, unless you're colorblind, that allows you to see color. But since they lack those cells, they are colorblind. Not only that, but what they do see, it's not just black and white, it's basically just blobs and shapes. They can't really distinguish who's who or what's what. Anything that's moving towards a sloth in the wild is bad news for the sloth, and they just want to get away from it. So that's kind of the sloth's first line of defense, is just evade it. They want to get away from that threat to the end of the branch, and then if that threat is continuing to go after them towards the end of the branch, it's kind of best case scenario for the sloth if they were to actually both fall out of that tree, because the sloth is almost definitely going to survive that fall, and the cat is almost definitely not. So some of their things that are out to get them in the rainforest are like jaguars or ocelots, some of the big cats down there. And their goal is to try to land on all fours. And landing on all fours from a height from 100 feet in the air is not going to turn out too well for them. But the sloth is almost definitely going to survive that, because their bones are extremely pliable, so that when they hit the ground, they kind of fall like a pancake. They spread out really flat, and they fall flat on their chests. When they do that, their bones just kind of flex with them, and they go back to normal. They also have a lot of connective tissue that's holding their intestines and their organs all in the right place, so that when they do smack the ground, their organs don't smack their body cavity, so they don't really sustain any type of internal damage from that. So they'll just go right back up that tree where they came from. So it's pretty interesting. They have a total of 46 ribs. It's kind of a protective casing for them. So that's double what we have. But if I were to jump down off of this counter, he'd be awake right away. Any type of movement or anything around in this room, he has to take a look at. So what's your guys' plans for your honeymoon?
I don't know, he's surprising me. I had no clue about this today.
Really? Oh, that's really cool.
It was really good.
Mm-hmm.
We also got a surprise on the town from Friendly.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing their checks.
Oh, yeah.
And, like as the speed changes from like 70 something to 50, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's also a great birthday.
Yeah. He's currently licking the branch that he's holding on to. He said, open the door. He wants to go back in there to lay his hand there. see the differences between just Dash and Zoe. They came from the same facility, they were raised in the same program, they had the same breeder that held them every day. Different mothers, but that's about the only thing that's different between the two. And then they have completely different personalities. Zoe, she's honestly a lot bigger, she's like 13 pounds, and she likes to be up really close around your chest, she likes to be around your neck with her head right next to you. And then Dash, if you try to scoot him up and get him up close to your chest, he's like scooting down the whole time trying to get back down to that position, because he likes to be down low, being able to look up at you the whole time. And even just the differences in what they like to eat. Really cool to see, you know, kind of pick their own things that they like. So he is a two-toed sloth. It can be kind of confusing because you think about toes and back feet, but it's two on the front and three on the back. All sloths have three on the back feet. And if you
I
look
never
at,
imagined them being this
Yeah.
soft.
if you were to look at each individual hair of a sloth under a microscope, you'd see a lot of tiny micro cracks all throughout those hairs. And that's what allows the sloth to be able to start to form that moss and algae that's throughout their fur. But in captivity, obviously, they're not getting rained on all the time. They are in their natural habitat, so they don't have the ability to form that, nor do they need it.
Is he a two-toed?
Yeah. All the sloths that we have here are two-toed. It's really difficult to keep a three-toed sloth in captivity because obviously here they eat, this mixture is brown rice, shaved up sweet potatoes, and a really high-quality dog food that's been soaked in water and then mixed into it, and then some spinach that was chopped into it as well. And then they get, green beans, sweet potatoes, zucchini, squash, things like that that they would not have access to in the rainforest. The two-toed sloths, we can do that, we can vary their diet that way, but the three-toed sloths can't really. In the wild, they eat just leaves of the Cercophia trees, so it's like 95% plant material. And if you try to change that, even just supplementing it with just spinach, they can't really do really well on that. So on a three-toed sloth, you basically have to have a private jet to fly you to and from the rainforest once a week to get you your food supply. It'd be kind of like owning a koala. Do you smell that? It's weird.
I'm wondering if it's,
Oh, I smell like smoke.
I smelled that, but then I was also smelling like ammonia. I'm still smelling smoke.
Somebody just said Blackstone out there, so maybe they're turning on a grill or something. I don't know. It's weird. Concerning. Oh, our time is just about up. If you watch your feet here, I'm just gonna crack this door open here and see if Flash wants to come back in. So it's kind of interesting to see how, yeah, he sees me moving around over here. He's like, what's that? What's going on?
You sticking your tongue out at me?
Takes him just a minute, and then he'll realize that the door's open.
What are you looking at, buddy? What are you looking at?
We're still trying to come up with names for the two of them. We've got two girls. I really like the Friends theme, Rachel and Phoebe. I really like that. Yeah. But we typically, we try to stick with like Disney character stuff like that. So they were thinking about, Anna and Elsa, but.
I'm not a huge fan of that one either.
But in the past, we've had Tom and Jerry, we've had Max and Ruby was R-O-O-B-Y. What else? A try to raise the kangaroos in pairs, so that's why we got her. We got her from a breeder because we've got that smaller one that was one that we had here on the farm.
Right here, he feels all rough and bumpy, and right here, he feels like sandpaper.
Get a banana to lure him over this way, see if he wants to go back in. This banana is all precious.
Oh. Dash is like, ooh.
So, this again is an arboreal creature, meaning meant to live in the
Since
trees.
their eyesight is so poor, their sense of smell is actually really good. So he's already smelling it.
Like, please.
Sorry, buddy.
This guy also has a parateal gland on top of his head. This right here is like a third eye. Senses shadows going over the top of it. It's a light sensing gland, and that keeps him from.
No, probably not. He's just reaching for me because he thinks I'm gonna get him.
From the top like a bird.
But our time is up with him, so I'll go ahead and get him, and then you can walk in and flash his enclosure and see how he goes down. You don't have to get anything if I want to.
He has a sense.
But if you wanted to watch, and you can take pictures, videos of him going up, it's pretty cool to watch that.
His face right here, this is a fake eyeball. So if something's coming at him that he's afraid of, to turn his face sideways like that, and try to show that to be his eyeball. Because if he actually had eyes that big, this would be one huge animal. And things that might find an iguana to be a tasty snack really wouldn't want to mess with an alligator. This is what other kind of lizard would have eyes that big.
And it's pretty cool to see how he goes up there every time. Since their eyesight is so poor, they kind of memorize where everything is at in their enclosure.